Dude, the
All
production
right.
quality is insane. The production value, what the heck?
I know, right?
Even
It's we
I need to spend time on this.
take a lot of pride in that. Um, yeah, great stuff. Always gets us hyped before the episode. Like to think it does the same for the guests as well. Uh, Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Eggs Liquidity. This is episode 85, and today we have Taiki with us. Taiki, thanks for joining us, man.
No worries. Thanks for having me. I watched this a couple times, so happy to. And I am exit liquidity most of the time, so you know, this is
As
very on
you,
brand.
as we Yeah, great stuff. Taiki, you're a lot of things. I feel like researcher, podcast host, Exit Liquidity, mid curver. We have a lot in common, I think. But I don't think a lot of people know too much about your background. At least I certainly don't. Would love to hear a little bit about what brought you into crypto and kind of just your story of how you got here.
Sure. So I guess I graduated 2019 from Berkeley. Did business, and I was working at a company called Boba Guys, like headquarters. I did operations there, just because my family owns Japanese restaurants, and I was always interested in like the food biz. Then 2020 happened, COVID, got laid off. Everyone got laid off, and I decided to, I guess, look back at my life and be like, like what do I really want to do? And I started playing poker full time online. That's primarily how I made most of my money in college, and I've always wanted to just give it a shot. So I was doing that from like March to like early 2021. But of course, later in 2020, like the markets, crypto started pumping. So I slowly just spent more and more time on crypto. Uh, and at the time, I didn't really have a finance background. I have like a business degree, but not like a finance background. So I figured if I wanted to work in crypto, I should just make YouTube videos just to have like a digital resume in case I did apply. But it just like my channels just started popping off in like early 2021, and at that point I was like, okay, like there's like nothing else that I would rather do. So stopped poker. I also founded like a coffee company in college. I also left that just to do crypto full time, content full time, and that's been me for like the past 3-4 years.
Nice, man. Yeah. What was so you got in around like it sounds like you got in or like went full time around 2021. What were you interested in back then? Like, were there any communities, any specific like sectors or technology that really caught your interest to start out?
I mean, I was always into DeFi. I mean, I was just like punting around on mainnet. Just like one of the first coins I bought on chain was Badger, right? I was like, oh my god, this is the BlockFi, but decentralized. It's the future of finance. And then all the farmers dumped on me, and that was like really sad. And I had to pay like $30 in gas costs, just like get out of just to stop being exit liquidity. And then I discovered Polygon, and I guess I was always interested in like using the chain to, I guess, make money. And I feel like at the time, no one really, I don't know, like there was DeFi somewhere, there was like Binance Smart Chain, but there really wasn't like crazy pumps, right? In like Q1 ish, aside from like some DeFi coins. But I think Polygon just really opened up my eyes to like what this thing could be. Also, I mean, it was like crazy bull market, so I mean, if you bridge to Polygon, like it was almost impossible to lose money, I think. So I think, yeah, like Polygon just really, like Polygon DeFi season was like really the craziest probably moment in my career, I think, in terms of like sheer euphoria and it's like money printer gober type of stuff.
That's interesting. I actually don't know anyone who was ever really that into Polygon POS at least at any point. Cito is a known Polygon disrespecter. Actually, I think.
I mean, I feel like everyone's a Polygon disrespect at this point, but I think, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like it was hard to miss Polygon back then in Q1 and Q2. It's like token 100x, and then they were like, you could like just loop ETH or stables on Aave and get paid like 30-50% for free, and then all the Ponzi's on Polygon were pumping. So it was basically like Like, I would kind of compare it to like the pump fun experience that we're having now, except it was on Polygon. But instead of like meme coins, it was like just DeFi Ponzi's.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting. I'd never heard too much about that. I mean, it sounds like it might have been kind of similar to like what was going on BSC chain at the time, or maybe like some of the more involved alt L1s. Like I guess Phantom kind of had a little bit of a season like that with some of the Tomb and Tomb forks and all that like yield farming craze. Throughout that process, obviously, as you've mentioned, and as we all have been ourselves, I'm sure there were plenty of exit liquidity moments for you. What was your most memorable though? What was like the one time you look back and you think of that as like a like let's call it a career defining moment of being exit liquidity?
I feel like if we look back on that bull market, because for me, like I'm not, yeah, I'm like mid curve, right? I'm not. I don't think I'm like that smart. But I think what I'm good at is, I guess, learning from past mistakes and adapting. And I guess one career defining uh, trade was like keeper DAO, like Rook, because I was like doing all this deep, like heavy DeFi research, like on chain, and I was learning about MEV, and I was like, oh my god, like MEV, like there's flash bots, like Keeper DAO, like MEV project, it's gonna pump. But in hindsight, in the past 4 years, I don't think anyone has ever made money from like an MEV project. I feel like MEV as a concept is like the definition of exit liquidity, right? It's just like anyone that tries to play the MEV narrative just gets wrecked, gets dumped on. So I guess from that point on, I try not to participate in things that I don't fully understand. It's okay if I miss random shit, right? It's like that pumps. It's like I honestly don't care. I'm okay just staying in my own lane and just doing my thing, and just hopefully slowly accumulating more and more wealth, hopefully over time, and just I guess try to focus on like what I'm good at, what my edge is, and you know, and that way I can't really be exit liquidity.
You yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think it finds a way. It finds a way in my experience eventually. Everybody at least, we all get better, we all get smarter over time, learn from our mistakes, but I always end up having a humbling moment at one point or another. I think we're never quite out of the woods. Would be great though. I think MEV is an interesting example. I haven't really thought about that one too much, but I've definitely had some projects where they have a big focus on MEV and that you think it makes you feel like you're smarter than you actually are by investing in that because you can say like, oh yeah, MEV thing, and like nobody really knows what that means. So it's like you seem smarter, you seem like it's a better investment, but it never really is.
Yeah, I feel like with all these fundamental coins, right? It's just like it's a way for you, the buyer, to feel smarter. It's like, oh, like my friend made a 10x on this meme coin. That guy's stupid. I buy MEV coin. You know, this makes money or like whatever, right? Some bullshit. And I don't think there's any like MEV coin that's ever pumped. You know, I mean, that's like sustained a pump. They all just go down 99%. It's kind of ridiculous. Uh, so I guess like
Yeah.
trying to understand like where you are on the information totem pole and like the IQ totem pole, I think is very important in crypto.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned the start of YouTube and content for you. One thing that I always found nice about your channel and just kind of your journey and content is you just really never fell into the grift. Especially when like I feel like this is probably your second full cycle. But like even in your early days of the channel and creating farming videos, I'm sure there were many opportunities to fall into just heavy grifting, as many like shows, channels, or things do. And you never did. And I'm curious, kind of where that kind of came from. Was there um, kind of a lesson you experienced, or were there other content like producers that you were watching that kind of started grifting, and you're like, oh, I'll never do this? What's the story there?
Yeah, I mean, most people in crypto are grifters, right? So it's like because, like I said, I have a business background. I like specialized in marketing in college with a heavy focus on like brand. Uh, so I think when it comes to, or for me, I try to have like a longer term mindset when it comes to what my role is in the industry, and I try to think more long term, like, in 5, 10 years, like, who do I want to be? And I want to, be someone that people can trust. And trust is one of those things that you can't really buy. There's a saying, like, it takes like many years to build up trust, but like one day to just lose it all. So I've always felt that if you have a strong brand, you can just build any product, right? Because once you have it's all about distribution, I think. Um, yeah, and also I think one content creator I looked up to was Ben Cohen. I know he's mostly like a macro guy now, with like Bitcoin dominance and stuff, but he also, right, similar to me, Ned's no pay chills, and I really liked how he did it. So I figured that if I were to make it in content, I want to follow his model. So that's kind of what I've done. I think it's more so, instead of like going for views or like the crazy headlines or thumbnails, it's more so just building a relationship with my audience over time. And if I guess, like, at some point, like, you just be a good actor and things will come to you, like good opportunities. Like, if you're a good person, then people want to work with you. People want to talk to you. And I don't, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really have a plan on like where I want to be in like 5, 10 years, but I just have a North Star to not grift. And if you don't grift, then that already separates you from the pack, right? So it's not that hard. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben Cohen, that's an interesting one. I see the similarities now. Although he's like been bearish ETH BTC for like a long time, so there are some differences. But yeah, in terms of kind of the guests you've had on various shows, do you kind of have a favorite out of the interviews or kind of moments from creating content?
Favorite? I don't know. It's hard. Let me go to my channel. Um, I don't know. I really enjoyed having Suzu on, just because I've followed him so much last cycle, and of course, I mean, some people like hate him and stuff. Understandable. But to be able to talk to Sue, and I've had him on Steady Lads a couple times too, and get his market views. I feel it feels surreal, because last cycle he was kind of this mythical figure that I would never have the chance to talk to. But now, if I wanted to get Sue on, like, it wouldn't be too difficult. So in a sense, it kind of validates all the things I've been doing. It's like, just heads down, just build a good brand, and people will want to work with you or like talk to you. And I also thought that the conversation the conversation I had with Sue was pretty good, as well. The way he talks, he kind of sounds like a philosopher, and maybe like that makes him sound like super smart all the time. But yeah, I think having Sue on was a really big deal for me.
Yeah. Do you have like a dream guest? Is there anyone that you're still trying to get an interview with?
I guess the
Maybe they're
obvious
watching
answer is
Exit
like,
Liquidity.
yeah, the obvious answer is like GCR or like Kobe, but I don't think GCR will want to dox any part of his voice or face. And Kobe's not doing podcasts anymore, but yeah, like
I saw a
those guys would
reply
be.
not long ago. Kobe was saying that he was like hinting towards like an actual like GCR podcast. I don't know
Oh,
how
really?
like legit it was. I feel like Kobe
Yeah.
like takes things very not seriously these days, so it's hard to tell when he's being legit or not.
Yeah,
But
he's just like
I mean,
focusing on Echo right now. DJ Spartan would be good too. Like, yeah, just like those mythical characters on CT. That'd be nice.
Yeah. How is you're on Echo now, right? Or like
Yes.
how has that been? I honestly don't know too much about Echo, but I'd be curious how that experience has been. And um, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a rule. I can't like talk about it too much. Like, I can't talk about any
Oh, okay.
deal, or I can't solicit. So I'll but I can talk about, I guess, the platform in general, and why I'm
Yeah.
interested. But it's like, I've never done private deals like before this year. Not because I didn't see any good deals. In fact, I think I get like good deal flow. It's just that I felt like if I make money from private deals, it's hard for me to empathize with my audience, and it's hard for my audience to empathize with me. So I've typically, went the path of just building the relationship and whatnot, like conceptually. But if I can share deal flow with my audience, I feel like that would be a good value add, and also that would allow me to actually help founders, work on things, build things of value. So no, I feel like it goes one of those things where if it works, I think it's incredibly ambitious, and it could be the most egalitarian thing we've ever seen. Uh, just trying to level the playing field, not like away from like B and C tier VCs, right? I feel like Echo can like just put them all out of business, and put more power in the hands of like I guess quality KOLs, I suppose. And if you're like a VC, you really have to stand out, if you don't want to, if you still want to stay alive. So pretty bullish Echo. I really like Echo.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you've kind of been in the kind of crypto space last cycle, this cycle. I think I remember kind of the tail end of last cycle. You were obviously kind of probably making less content, but you probably learned some lessons as the rest of us. Do you feel like you applied any of the lessons from last cycle into this cycle so far?
I think over time I learned a lot. I think one mistake I made last cycle, also because I was like very new and naive, is that like in 2021, I feel like I was just on a roll, and like all the plays were hitting. It's like because I was like the guy that was doing the whole Alto 1 rotations and whatnot. Just rotating from chain to chain, following the incentives. Did like the whole DeFi kingdoms, like found it early and stuff. And I think because of that, right? Like my comment section, my audience, they're all like, okay, like Taiki, what's the next play? What's the next play? What's the next play? So like my psyche was like, okay, like I need to be looking out for the next play, the next play, the next play. And of course, if that's my mindset and we enter, like a bearish regime, then I'm the one that's like looking for like bull narratives when the markets are trending down. So I think this time around, it's like I don't really care what people think. I'm just gonna do what I think makes sense. And even like my podcasts, it's like I have guests on, right? Like I had Hedgehog on recently, on Monday, and he was like just like Omega bearish. People don't like hearing bearish stuff, but it's like, hey, like this is what he thinks. Like it's bearish content. Just deal with it. So that's that's one. And also now, I feel like if you're like a YouTube channel and you talk about alts, like it never ends well because alts always go down like 80-90%. So even if you're right for like the first couple months, it always makes you look bad. So now I don't really talk about individual coins. I just focus more on podcasts. I I made a video on Aave recently, but I think that Aave is like it's fine, right? It's like it's already down a lot, and even if it goes down, it's like I'm not like showing some like pumpamentals, right? It's more like, hey, like this is like a DeFi blue chip. Hopefully it can just bottom on its ETH pair. So trying to be more careful with like what I do say, and just focusing more on like I guess podcasting, because it's also evergreen. I want to make content that's relevant like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. If you're just focusing on like short-term altcoin narratives, it's probably going to be irrelevant in like 2 weeks, and then people can screenshot that video and be like, yeah, like this guy's a grifter or something. So just focusing on more evergreen content, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. I guess like alts, pretty much all alts trend to zero against Bitcoin, and if you're making stuff that's like based on a narrative or based on some specific moment in time, there's that one meme that I really like. It's like you're like a C tier reply guy, and like somebody talks about an alt, and you comment below. It's like, all right, give me the entry, stop loss, leverage, if you don't provide every single like data point, someone's gonna find a way to like get mad. So like, just kind of disregarding that and focusing instead on stuff that's like useful time and time again definitely makes a lot of sense. What do you outside of content creation, what are you spending your time these days doing on chain? Are you like trading perps, farming, airdrop farming? What's like got your attention these days?
Yeah, mostly airdrop farming. I mean, airdrop farming is kind of feels dunzo recently, but um, I'm bullish ETH. I hold ETH. It's like if I can gain some return on ETH for like very little risk, I'll do it. So I've been farming Symbiotic, EtherFi, Scroll mostly is like what I'm farming. Honestly, there's really not much to do on chain, right? I tweeted about this before, but the only use case for mainnet is to buy some tokenless LRT or to bridge to some L2 for like an airdrop. Like that's all you can do. There's like no meme coin activity. There's like, I guess you can, there's like some DeFi activity, right? Like you like buy something on Uniswap or you pay a loan on, or you like borrow against ETH on Aave or something. But there's really not much to do on chain. It's kind of sad. I think I woke up this morning and gas was like 0.9 or something. I was like, what? I was like, what? It's below 1. I didn't know that was possible. I was like, I was like, holy shit, it's so dead. So yeah, there's really not much to do other than just hope that the boomers buy our bags. Honestly, I don't know. What do you guys do? Like,
Yeah, I mean, no,
I don't
like
want
I
to be
totally
on
agree with
Chain
you.
NFTs, but
That's Cito's domain. I'm not too crazy about that. I feel like, I mean, you make good points. I think you kind of leave out yield farming in general, though, which is like kind of it's weird because I'm not doing a ton of it, and it's like not really something that I think is super plus EV in a bull relative to like airdrop farming or playing alts or you know other stuff in general. Yield farming is like a lot more consistent and like lower upside, but I still think there's like really good yield opportunities on ETH. I mean, better than you'll find pretty much anywhere else, but also that usually doesn't come without some sort of points farming too. Like Pendle's the one big one that comes to mind. Farming principal tokens or like principal token LPs on Pendle. I feel like you can get pretty good return on your ETH. Like at this point, with how sentiment is around airdrop farming, like some of these things paying out 20, 30% roughly, I guess, in native ETH terms is like, a pretty good bet. That's like you probably would have done about the same on that as you will with Eigen, I think, in the longer run at least, and not if you're not side billing, obviously. Past that, it's like I'm doing less airdrop farming, but that is still like one of the only things I'm doing. Holding ETH, a lot of ETH, unfortunately.
me too. Yeah.
All right, we had Flywheel on last week, and it was just like an ETH like Alcoholics Anonymous episode, pretty much. Like we were just like
Yeah.
coping for like an hour straight.
No, I'm coping. Yeah, it's because like
Yeah,
I kind of expected a summer chop, so I was like, okay, like let me just be overweight ETH. It probably has less downside than alts, and maybe the ETF is bullish, and then ETH has more downside than alts. So fuck, what am I doing here? But going back on the original point, I think airdrop farming is the new yield farming. It's like teams are no longer gonna just give away tokens for free, right? Just for like LPing or whatnot. There's like it makes more sense for it makes way more sense for them to just issue points and then TG sometime afterwards. So the meta is getting more complicated. There are lots of good yields. Like I think PayPal USD on Solana pays like 20%.
20%. Yeah,
Yeah, and then on Arbitrum you can. There's still like those long-term incentive program yields. So various DeFi projects, you can probably get like 20% on ETH and stables pretty easily. But also it's paid in Arbitrum, right? No one wants that shit. So
yeah,
it's just getting sent to the gulag. It's typical farm token.
Definitely not ideal for sure. I have also I don't know if like this has happened to either of you guys either, but I feel like not so much on the timeline, but in some of the groups I'm in, I'm seeing more mentions of like structured products. Specifically, I guess like HLP and GLP, so like Hyperliquid and Jupyter vaults, those are like the main ones that everyone talks about. But there's also like Sega and 3Jane, I think are the two. They're both small protocols, but
Yeah, just like the options thing.
yeah.
Selling calls, I think.
Yeah, that's, obviously it comes with risks, but there's on Sega specifically, you can really like there's a lot of different strategies there for whatever's fit to your risk profile. I haven't, looked into it too much yet, but I'd like to think that that's one thing that's still not driven by token incentives or like points incentives.
Yeah. I'm super bullish HLP, JLP, GLP. Like during the bear market, like I think GLP kind of saved my life because
Um,
like on GMX, like because GLP has like outperformed the entire markets, like even up to this date. JLP is like straight up crack. Um,
yeah.
I wish I had deployed more capital into that, but the cool thing about things like these LP assets is that during the bear, I was like, I had ETH as collateral. I borrowed AVAX and I sold the AVAX to buy GLP. And then as AVAX was nuking, GLP would maintain its value. So like whenever whenever AVAX would like dump like 30%, I would just convert my GLP to AVAX, pay back my loan, and like it's kind of like a pseudo hedge, I guess.
Yeah.
So that could be something interesting, right, for Solana maybe in the future, where if we go much higher, you can like borrow Sol on Camino Margin buy JLP. JLP just really good asset. If Solana goes down, then you just make a bunch of money, and you're also farming like a Jupiter airdrop. That could be pretty good. And the HLP, of course, money printer, right? There's always risk, but yeah, like these perps LP vaults, typically, historically, if you can trust a team, like they just print. But of course, you have to worry about the tail risks, which is hard to quantify.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, I haven't spent too much time in them. I guess I haven't paid too much attention to the yields overall, but I've always been like worried of like getting wiped out just by profitable traders, especially like in bullish times like this, or at least what has been for most of the year. Hasn't
Yeah,
really gone that direction yet, as far as I know, with any of them. But
but like profitable traders are not going to trade on chain perps, right? So it's only like random
yeah,
degens trading. So
I
you
mean,
have good
it
flow.
happened with GLP a few times, didn't it?
Yeah, Andrew King made a bunch, and then I think he like round tripped or something. Uh,
Oh.
uh, Also, I think he was like because he was like an Arbitrum investor. I think he like around the Arbitrum TG, he was like just trading on GMX, so like the metrics would look like sexier. Maybe that was part of it. He's a great
Yeah.
trader though. I don't know, like what are you guys like? What are you guys excited about? You guys look kind of dead.
I don't. I'm not a big like yield farm kind of guy. I feel like most of the time I need to feel something a little bit more on the gambling side of things, and like newer ecosystem side of things. Um, that doesn't mean I'm not just a giant ETH bag holder, but it is kind of like boring sometimes to airdrop farm and just yield farm all day. So I guess I get my fix every now and then from like perps and uh, and meme coining. I was gonna ask kind of what other ecosystems that like you've been in outside of ETH. I know you've been getting like a lot of people have been getting a lot of shit on the like modular money stuff. I'm curious if how you've been feeling about that lately. It feels like sometimes there's like a very consistent rotation will be like Bitcoin mini pump, ETH underperforms, Solana outperforms, modular money, AI, meme coin somewhere in there, and we just like kind of repeat over again. I'm curious how you've been thinking about some of the other kind of niches of crypto, like the modular money or the AI side, outside of ETH.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for AI, I think like my biggest stock holding is Nvidia. It's like I actually did a lot of deep work on, okay, maybe not that deep, right? As deep as like a mid curve can do, but I did a lot of work on BitTensor, Filecoin, Arweave, um, Render, Akash, and my conclusion was that I'd rather own Nvidia. Um, I get that people want like crypto AI because it's like, in theory it's like Omega, like super high beta, but in practice I don't really think they're like any of these are like that investable. So I just I just own a bunch of Nvidia for like AI exposure, and for I guess like the modular stuff. I'm not quite sure, right? Obviously the sentiment is in the gutters. That's typically how it goes, right? Price goes up, everyone's euphoric. Price goes down, everyone thinks it's a scam. Like my view is that, or whenever I got into like TIA, it was like December last year, and I told myself that it would be like a cycle hold, like whatever that means. So I'm like totally willing to just hold it to zero, and be like be like the what, like be the poster boy for like holding it to zero. But I also like minted a bunch of Celestine slot societies. And that's been holding up pretty well. Like you had to be like a TIA staker to mint, and it's like worth 3K I think ish, or 3 to 4K. So maybe the airdrop meta goes to like NFT holders. I have no idea. I still think the modular narrative makes sense. It's just that no one really cares. And if you look back on the past year, like I feel like every quarter has its own like big narrative. I think Q3 last year was like Rollbit and like Unibot, and then Q4 was modular. Q1 this year maybe it was like meme coins or Bitcoin, and then Q2 I don't even know what Q2 was. Q2 probably just meme coins too. I don't know. I feel like every quarter, I feel like most of these narratives they run for like 3 months and then they just go to zero. So I feel like that's something that people have to take into account. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's really just not enough money in the ecosystem to like pump these things, in
Yeah.
perpetuity.
Have you
People just
done it?
rotate.
Is there anything to do in the modular world? Like have you found yourself going back to like any other types of farming in these newer ecosystems? Or is it
Yeah,
really just like stake?
yeah, there's all you can do is stake, man. There's nothing else. There's like Forma chain, which is like some NFT chain, but I haven't really gone there. Um, there's like Milky Way, right? Like the liquid staking, but I have no idea what the fuck's happening there.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do anywhere other than like punt on memes on Sol,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, Nisha's
Have you
supposed to give us stuff to do over there, right? I hope
I hope
they
so.
have
is
like
that
they have stuff on testnet. I don't know when mainnet's going to be up.
Yeah, I
will
know
that
Zahn
can
said
be
he's gonna
connected
have
to
apps, but
that's connected to like the whole Celestia everything ecosystem?
yeah, they use
Yeah.
Celestia for DA, and then I think their idea is like interwoven rollups. So all the rollups that use Celestia for DA, or like all the modular rollups, they're gonna be connected via Initia. But I feel like there's also like dozens of these, interoperability stuff. It's like Optimism superchains, like Polygon Aglayer, Initia, Dimension. Like they're all trying to do the same thing, and it's
What's
mostly
your
because all these L2s are just zeros. L2s.
do you think it goes to like it centers around just a few successful ones? What's your kind of like base case on modular versus L2s and all these different ecosystems? Do you have a favorite? Just like on a vibes level?
On a vibes level, I don't know. I feel like all these L2s are just so worthless, right? Maybe it makes
Yeah.
sense for Arbitrum and Optimism to stay alive. Like even Blast, I didn't think that it would launch like this poorly. I didn't believe in like the moon boy math of like 5 billion or 10 billion, but I'd be like, oh yeah, maybe 3 billion, and it'll taper, it'll be around there. But like now it's like a billion or like sub billion, and I guess that kind of tells you where we are. I'm kind of excited for Mega ETH. I think people think it's kind of cringe that they call it like Mega ETH, like make Ethereum great. But I think that that's actually like a good branding. Ethereum is not great, so this could actually
Yeah.
be like the thing to make ETH great again. And like I think ETH people understand that the L2 roadmap is like not really great, so maybe they're gonna like just really shill Mega ETH because it's like this Omega high performance L2. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I feel like the vibes there are like better than like any other L2 right now.
Yeah. Apparently Mega also is some like math thing, some like big brain kind of like math thing. So I've kind
Yeah.
of enjoyed the name as well, because it's like they kind of position it as like fulfilling the needs of the left and the right curve in terms of branding. So yeah, I think they're pretty exciting. Well, it's like 100K TPS. The
Yeah.
the whole like sequencer rotation thing, I think, is like pretty cool and new. If they can pull that off, that'd be cool. And chain go fast. Maybe we can have some like new dApps. I mean, I've seen and heard
Chain
of
go
some like
fast.
interesting stuff. And but there's gonna be a lot of competition in the chain go fast world. So it's gonna be interesting to see. But yeah, they're a cool team. I think Megeth is exciting as well. Are you a like Discord community farming at all? Are you like a big monad
No.
person?
No. I mean,
Bear
I mean, when
chain?
that's cool, but like, I'm not gonna be out here like clicking Galaxy Quests or Discord roles. Like, I can't. I'm desperate, but I'm not that desperate. I mean, nothing against the Discord grinders, obviously, but
Yeah, respect to
I'm
those
just too
guys.
busy. Yeah, I respect all those guys, but uh, there's other things I need to do other than like beg for like a NAD roll or whatever.
Yeah. Have
Hey,
you
those nads have been eating though. At least like in the past airdrops they've gotten. They got what, like 12K wormhole?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's worth like
maybe
$5 now. But at the time we thought it was going to be worth like 10K.
it was worth 10K for like the first day,
Yeah, yeah.
and then now
Now
it's
it's
is it like a
Did
3
they have
billion
to
or something?
vest? Did they have to vest,
no,
or
they
was it
didn't.
just
They only vested Mad Lads.
oh
That kind of blew me.
Yeah,
They
that was super.
vested and there was like a surprise cliff because they couldn't figure out like the streaming process, or like Solana was broken or something. So they like, it was vested. It still is vested for the next like, I don't know, 6 months. And there was like, obviously the token dumped in like the first week, and they couldn't get the like vesting to work. So nobody got any tokens until the token was already down like 70%.
Damn, I
that's
can't
a
believe
pretty
Wormhole's
nice
at
strat.
2.2. It's at 21
Yeah.
cents. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
Jesus. They raised
But
like
I
half a
mean,
bill or something, right?
have you used Wormhole in the last since the airdrop?
Dude,
Be honest.
since the airdrop, no. I mean,
Yeah.
even before the airdrop, like I used Wormhole to bridge like away from Luna or Terra,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also like bridging to and from Algorand, and it was horrible. Like I hate Wormhole, the user experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now D Bridge is just gonna be um just like a really bad valuation, I think. Even though I think it's a lot better of an experience.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think their
know.
activity is going to go to zero.
What'd you say?
Zero. Yeah.
Their activity is going to go to zero. Yeah, they charge too much in fees, and they did a good job with their points program and like their messaging and their UI. So like, it was pretty clear that that's why people were using it. But now it's like, what's the point? Jumper has points. Why not go use Jumper instead?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just the bridge game for the time being.
Have you messed around in like the Bitcoin ecosystem?
I try. I mean, I looked into it. I had people look into it, like, but I don't know. It's not that exciting. Like the Bitcoin DeFi just sucks. I don't think it makes sense. I'm excited for OP Cat though, like with Udi and Eric Wall. I think I haven't checked Quantum Cat's floor in a while, but I think if there's anything in the Bitcoin eco that I want to have exposure to, it'd be Quantum Cats. Just in case, like,
They pull it off.
they pull it off.
Yeah.
And who knows, like maybe like if Cat VM has a token, they'll airdrop to Quantum Cats. So maybe it's worth like just holding one NFT per wallet or something. They're expensive though. It's like 0.28,
They're
0.27
very expensive,
BTC.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they've held up well relative to the rest of the ordinals. Really
Yeah.
well, actually. Like
It's
they,
probably a really good sign. Yeah.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah, I
bullish.
think so. I had some. I used to like back when ordinals were like actually kind of hot, and like there would be regular like good mints, and puppets and node monkeys were at like half a Bitcoin or whatever. I used to spend time in a couple of different like discords, and I would um whenever I would talk about quantum cats, I would always get told that like they are like the one like mid curve ordinal, like you can ape node monkeys for like the community or puppets for the culture, but like if you're in quantum cats, like you're just straight up like mid curve, like you're overthinking the trade and you're doing too much. But look at us now. We're we're the only ones who aren't down like 80%.
Isn't
Yeah.
pups down like how much are pups down?
Pups are down bad. They're like sub 0.1, I think. It went from like what 0.35 or 0.45 something.
I'm looking at the token. It went to
Oh yeah,
almost like
that's
$100, huh? It's like now it's $3.
yeah, that and Wizards. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
the
was fun
ordinals
for a
used to
few
be
minutes,
half a
though.
Bitcoin.
That's
It
crazy
was
how they
fun.
were worth half a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy how they were worth half a Bitcoin and I didn't even consider selling. I was like, nah, like
It's
like
going to one. A fair value is
yeah,
one.
yeah. 30K for a 10K collection and like early bull cycle. Like, yeah, this is gonna run some more. My thesis was I'll just wait till I see Steph Curry buy one and then I'll sell.
Yeah,
But
I remember.
obviously that
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
people posting that meme.
I
I
still
feel
like them. I still like ordinals too as a narrative.
yeah, so like I'm like always a bag holder, right? When it comes to tokens, I always bag hold, but like I actually like sold pudgies like near the top because I
Yeah.
just like asked myself like should a pudgy penguin be worth like 35K? And I was like, wait, like I'm not sure about this, or like whatever the price was. Yeah, like I love Luca and like pudgies and whatnot, but it's like I feel like sometimes you should like look at like the dollar value. It's harder to do with tokens, right? Because you own like many units of either like whatever, and it's like if you own like 10 Aave or like $100, it's like yeah, it's like $1,000, like whatever. But it's like one NFT for like 30K. It's like what the fuck? Like I cannot
Yeah.
explain this to my fiance
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
have her
The
not be
high
mad at it.
prices really start to hurt the yeah, there's like a I don't want to maybe like you call it a mental block. It's like at a certain point you just can't really like who's the
Justify it.
marginal buyer at that point? Who's going to be buying for like 50K? Like I don't know. It seems so obvious and there's like obviously like a handful of examples that break away. It's the same thing with meme coins. Like you always think it's going to be yours that is the exception and
Yeah.
then it never is.
I have a question for Cito. Like, are you still bullish Parachain?
I don't know if you've seen the story, but basically, I've been a bear chain. I had a bit bear for a very long time.
Oh, did you get liquidated with the loan thing?
Yeah,
I think I
yeah,
listened to the pod. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I was carelessly lending and borrowing on Arcade. Arcade, for what it's worth, in NFT lending is like I think it's like a really good app.
It's
I
a great
always thought
product.
like
Yeah.
I always thought I'd lose that BitBear from like protocol getting hacked or like something like that. But no, I just set the wrong date on my calendar for repaying the loan and wasn't checking notifications and forgot to pay it back. Got liquidated. And the dude, I was like e-begging the dude on Twitter, just like crying in his DMs, like please give it back. and and he just like insta sold it for like 2 ETH or something like that. So I mean, I'm still, happy for the Barachain eco. I mean, sometimes you go to like a conference and you see like, you know, I don't know. I'm not gonna try and like FUD Barachain, but it's like it's it's part of the Ali was pushing this narrative a little bit in my mind, even when I had my BitBear of like who's the marginal buyer of like a 10K BitBear at this point, or like a 20, like I think it got up to like 18. And of course I just ended up holding it and ending up losing it. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how they like prepare the launch and everything. I'd say I'm bullish a lot of apps in the ecosystem.
Yeah, the vape to earn stuff looks pretty sick.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't. I feel like I'm going crazy when I see that stuff, man.
No,
It's like, don't those vapes cost a lot too? Aren't they like a couple $100s?
yeah. I mean, it's gonna be really hard to scale that thing. It'll take years if they even make it happen. But I think everyone's just really horny for like actual apps. So whenever I see something that's like a consumer app adjacent, I automatically support it. Like good on the founder for trying something. I
Yeah, that's
respect it.
fair. That's fair. But it's also a vape company that raised at like a what $20 million valuation. People forget how decoupled crypto valuations are from like reality. It's like if they have like a
Yeah,
real thing, like an actual like physical product, that makes things a little bit hazy.
Yeah, I was in Dubai at one point when someone was like telling me about the vape to earn, and then they also shared a deck of like literally just like a soda, like just like a drink that was crypto adjacent and like some kind of consumer angle. And I was like, okay, this is this is a little bit too far. But yeah, no, I think the vape to earn will be cool. I mean, people underestimate, I think, like how much people are willing to pay for after the Solana phone. How much people are willing to pay for like mid to low level hardware to qualify for some kind of like airdrop or you know be a part of something. I think the vape to earn will be cool. Um, but will the token do well? Probably not. And probably not. But yeah, no, I think Bear Chain is cool. What else is exciting these days? I was gonna ask, what's your like research? Like, how does stuff come up onto your radar these days? Is it like 1,000 interns in the farmers channel? How do you kind of find new
no,
stuff?
I just have 2 interns now. Like
Mm.
funny story. Like I think when the market started pumping last year, like mid like Q3 Q4, I was like, okay, you know what? Like time to hire people. I hired like 3 or 4 additional interns, and then I had to let them all go because the market just turned to shit, and I didn't really know how to manage them. Typically, I just like try to fuck around and find out. No regrets. Like I have nothing against the people I hired, but yeah, I just probably was like not a great manager. But anyways, I don't know. I feel like nowadays the markets are so slow. I try to think more longer term. It's like what could be hot in like 3 months plus. And because like my focus is at DeFi, I've kind of looked back to the DeFi sector, like the DeFi OGs. I feel like everyone understands DeFi has PMF, but the tokens are just absolute garbage. So I have this idea that these tokens won't be garbage forever. At some point, they will become investable. So I'm more so looking for like high float, decent FDV DeFi projects that are category leaders that could potentially start reviving, and like not bleed against either BTC. Um, and so far, I found Aave. I think Aave is pretty decent. I mean, I don't want to show it too hard, but like, I've been looking into Aave for like a year now, just like talking to like Aave people, like governance people. Had a general idea that yeah, like buybacks should happen soon, in theory. So yeah, like let's just like buy it. I'm not really trying to do short-term trades anymore. Like I don't think I have an edge short term. I think it's super PvP. So I'd rather like just buy things to hold for multiple months. Um, so yeah, DeFi, I think RWA is pretty good, interesting. Consumer apps, although like that's more like the private markets. And I guess, like the hottest ecosystems might be like Monad, Bearchain, Mega ETH. So like, how does that change the landscape? I try to think about that too. Yeah, like not too exciting though. I'm just looking at the fundamentals and see
So
what.
what's the flow usually? Like, what's the flow for you kind of developing conviction? Is it a tweet? Is it a governance proposal? Is it a research report? Do you have some like trusted newsletters that you frequent other than yours?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the one writing these reports nowadays because no one else is. But honestly, the Twitter is like mostly noise now. I think most of the alpha has went into like Telegram chats or Discords. So just by me being in this space for so long, I think I've built a bunch of good connections. So if there's an important proposal, I usually am like one of the first people to know about it. So I actually think that there's a lot of like edge in governance forums. It's just like no one wants to read it. Like I don't like reading it either, right? It's just like it's boring as shit, but you kind of have to nowadays. So I guess like I already have like a general view of like what could be worth something, what could not be worth, like, or like versus like what's going to be zeroed, right? So I'm just like trying to figure out like which tokens could potentially have a catalyst to go higher. There's like no flow. Like I honestly I don't really have a process. I just wake up and I'm glued to the screen, and I just like process so much information that I generally know what's going on everywhere. Um, that's
Yeah.
kind of yeah.
And from like a high level, would you say like you're on the pessimistic or optimistic side of like when you're observing the space these days?
I think everyone's getting pessimistic, but
Yeah.
I'm like a very optimistic person. Even last year, like fast forward 12 months ago, I think we had like the double top on ETF news, like the Bitcoin ETF news, and then we were just chopping for like months, and everyone was just like shilling Rollbit to each other and Unibot to each other, and it was also like pretty miserable back then. I think like July, August, September last year. So I don't know. I feel like what I've noticed in crypto is that in order for people to maintain the same level of like happiness, like price has to just keep going higher, right? So even if price stalls, the happiness level goes down. If price goes lower, the happiness level even deteriorates even further. So yeah, it's like crypto people just need dopamine. They need pumps. A lot of us, including myself, I've been holding so much ETH that hasn't really done that well, right? In the grand scheme of things. So I think that also adds to the frustration and this idea that ETH is dead. But
Yeah.
I'm still optimistic. I just think like sentiment gets bad when price goes down or the ratio goes down. It is what it is, right?
Yeah. It's tough. I think that you don't ever like dive into. You're never like on a random day aping a meme coin or taking a 100x, 50x leverage trade. Do you ever need those dopamine
No,
shots or no?
no, I don't really. I mean, I punt around on memes, but it's just like very marginal positions.
Yeah.
It's like I don't care about like CT coins, right? Because they're all like just pump and dumps. I mean, they're all pump and dumps, right? But one thing I'm looking forward to is identifying like a TikTok cabal coin. I feel like that's something that people don't.
There is
So
a TikTok cabal.
yeah, no, there is, but I'm looking for like I have this fake account called Safe Moon Billionaire, and I have like the who is that guy, the Lil Pump or something, right, with the Solana tattoo.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I just follow a bunch of scammers on TikTok to see what they're shilling, to see if I can identify a pattern. So it's maybe this is super mid-curve, but like I'm trying to have like some process to identify potential meme coins, right? I haven't found anything that's like that I want to even touch, but it's like
Yeah.
SafeMoon hit pumped so hard last cycle. It's like, and that was like a TikTok phenomenon, right? So
And
it's
I
like
think ICP was too, right?
ICD was down only though.
Yeah, but like I think that high valuation launch was surrounded by like just how many people were eyeing it at that time.
Yeah, and
Because
even
I've seen
Cardano,
a lot
right?
of yeah,
Yeah,
there's a big
Cardano, XRP.
Cardano
yeah,
XRP is like a crypto YouTube phenomenon, I think, mostly. So
Yeah.
even if you
yeah,
think it's a scam, if you can just make this simple bet that, hey, like retail will buy it, it's like you can just view that as a trade. But I think people are getting smarter though. I think retail is getting smarter. I think people have this mindset that, oh, we need retail to come to like buy our vaporware, but like we're all retail. We do our work,
We're
right?
all
We
retail.
think for
Yeah.
ourselves. We think for ourselves. So it's like I don't even think that we
sometimes.
will see vapor pump. Uh, I mean, I guess vapor will always pump if like enough people are showing it, but I try to
Yeah,
respect the retail. Respect the retail.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's interesting how different the like adjacent like non-crypto Twitter communities are with like the things that they're interested in. I do think that uh, they are like getting a little bit more like smarter like Protail, but like still, if you go to like different subreddits that talk about crypto or like TikTok, for example, or even like Instagram Reels, it's like, I don't know. I think we all kind of consider us like crypto Twitter and like our own like main networks and information diets to be like the real crypto social media, and everybody else is kind of just, like sharing other vaporware. But I mean, it's valuable. Like it's actually a really good idea to like have some sort of a pulse on that, because I don't know anyone who like really frequents or tries to keep track of any of these other networks, these other like crypto Twitter adjacent bubbles.
Yeah,
yeah,
because crypto Twitter is mostly traders, right? Like it's like ETH maxis and traders essentially and builders, and there's like certain coins that never get talked about, but they pump so hard. It's like I don't own this, but like there's OM, like the OM token, like Mantra
Oh
Chain.
yeah.
That thing went from like that thing is up vertical, straight vertical, right? And they're like tokenizing Dubai real estate or something. It's like no
what
one's
the
talking about
fuck?
this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they have like some $500 million in real estate or whatever. But I
Yeah,
feel like CT has this condescending view of other communities on like Reddit, YouTube, TikTok. Like, oh, I'm on Twitter. I'm so smart, But I feel like that's this like ego that people have. Um, I don't know,
yeah,
you have to
Yeah.
respect everybody. You have to respect the markets. You have to respect all the participants. Otherwise, you get cucked.
yeah. Do you think like I don't know what your I mean everyone has different metrics for making it, right? But ultimately everyone wants to make it. Do you think CT as or like crypto in general has engulfed your like headspace enough to even when you make it you're kind of just going to be still around, or you think you'll just kind of fuck off and be on a beach somewhere?
I mean, I think I'll always be around. I just enjoy making content. I just enjoy building towards something. Like, I mean, I'm not like super rich, but I think I'm at a point where I'm like comfortable, and I don't really have ambitions to be super rich, like billionaire, or like, I honestly I just want like a nice house. I'll be married soon. Just, just I just want to live a happy life. I don't care about having a bunch of money. So it's like I'll just keep enjoying. I'll just keep doing what I enjoy doing, and
Yeah,
part of that is content. And I'm fortunate to be in like a spot where there are people that supporting me, and I can make it a living. So I think I'll be like, because how in TradFi, right, like you see like Druckenmiller on TV. It's like, oh my god, like this guy's such a Chad. He's like 60 years old or whatever. Like at some point, crypto's gonna get there, right? There's like most, like we're all gonna be like 60 at some point, and maybe we'll be on TV saying how this TVL metric is a scam or whatever. So I kind of want to get to that point, right, where maybe I write a book, maybe I have like a big podcast or something, of like just having this educator role, entertainer role. Um, and it's like not really for like the money, but it's more for just enjoyment, personal fulfillment.
Damn, that's
Well
nice.
said. That's
Very
inspiring.
well said. Yeah. I think we can honestly end it there. I don't even. I
Yeah,
think that was really
that's I
good.
don't think we can
Just
top
hit my
that.
heart.
It touched your heart.
Good
With
stuff.
that being
We are
said,
at
buy my
time here.
shit coins. Buy my shit coins, please. I need it. I need.
No, that's great stuff. I appreciate you putting those thoughts out there. I think a lot of people definitely could benefit from hearing that. Yeah, we are over time here a little bit, so I do want to wrap up. Before we do so, if there's any other like I don't know, closing remarks, calls to action you have for the people, anything maybe you want to share from what you're working on, or maybe
Anything you want
words
to
of
show?
other words of wisdom, anything like that.
Buy my bags, subscribe to Exit Liquidity, and it's okay to be a mid curve. We're all mid curves. Everyone pretends to be right curves on Twitter, but the truth of the matter is it's okay to be a mid curve. You just have to embrace
It's okay
it.
to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay
Beautiful.
to be a
Yeah.
mid curve.
Well said. Well said. All right. Well, that was episode 85. Thanks again, Taiki.